along India's Arabian Peninsula coming up on the Newstrack tonight.
Biparjoy is equal to disaster. Severe storm headed towards Gujarat. Mumbai on high alert. Landfall in less than 18 hours. Cyclone Biparjoy is coming. Big focus on Newstrack.
Here's a look at the headlines I'm tracking tonight. Tamil Nadu Prime Minister Senthil Balaji sent to 14 days judicial custody. He's currently in ICU after complaining of chest pain. DMK calls his arrest a violation of human rights. Bombs, bullets and blood politics in West Bengal. Clashes between the Trinamool and opposition continue ahead of the Panchayat polls. Law Commission initiates consultations on a uniform civil code, seeks views from the public and religious organizations within 30 days. Congress's Adani hypocrisy exposed as Rahul Gandhi continues his Modani attack. Karnataka government invites the Adani group to invest in the state. 9 dead and fresh violence in Manipur, arson and firing reported in Kangpokpi district. In less than 18 hours from now, Cyclone Biparjoy would be hitting the Gujarat coasts. Ports in the state are deserted. The tempest is raging with howling winds and crashing waves. Nearly 50,000 people from coastal areas have been evacuated. India Today's reporters are in the area that will become the eye of the storm. Here's their ground report.
Waves, howling winds, boats anchored tightly in harbours. Residents seek refuge from the brewing tempest. Coastal Gujarat feels Biparjoy's punch. A day before the powerful cyclone strikes,
tomorrow onwards, perhaps there will be also power line disrupted near the coastal line to avoid any further potential damage. But for now, what I see here at Mandvi Port, the last effort by the locals, the fishermen, is being done to save their lifelong assets. This will be only and one and only source of income for these fishermen community. So, of course, they all are praying for passage of this cyclone as soon as possible. But yes, there is apprehension, there is concern, and of course, they are scared.
Once bustling fishing jetties are now deserted. Forceful gusts have bent trees, sent thatched roofs soared through the air. Emergency crews supplying essentials and carrying out urgent evacuations from the path of the storm. At least 45,000 people moved to safer locations so far.
गुजरात में 15 तारीख को तकरीबन शाम के समय इस साइक्लोन का लैंडफॉल होने वाला है। इसके मद्देनज़र एनडीआरएफ की 18 टीमों की तैनाती की गई है और एसडीआरएफ की भी 13 टीम वहां पर मौजूद हैं। वहां पर मैसिव इवैक्यूएशन किया गया है। तकरीबन 45,000 से ज़्यादा लोग सुरक्षित स्थान पर पहुंचाए गए हैं।
Like a benevolent fortress, a border outpost of the BSF in Kutch has swung open its gates, offering sanctuary to the weary souls from the impending fury of Biparjoy.
ये सारे फिशरमैन हैं जो यहाँ पे मछुआरी करके अपना जीवन बसर करते हैं, लेकिन अब उनको भी डर लगने लगा है, उनको भी डर सता रहा है, क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं उनको लग रहा है कि साइक्लोन जो है वो सबसे ज्यादा इसी इलाके को प्रभावित करेगा। आप बताइए कितना डर लग रहा है, क्योंकि आप तो फिशरमैन है, तरवैया है और हमेशा समुद्र के साथ रहते हैं आप लोग।
वो बहुत डर लगा है मैम। बच्चे से हमारे लेडीज बच्चे सब है, इसलिए हम बहुत डरे हुए।
आप बताइए समुद्र को इस तरीके से आपने पहले उफान पर देखा था कभी?
नहीं सर, अभी नहीं देखा है, अभी देखना पड़ रहा है। ये सब बच्चे के लेडीज को डर है, पर हमको तरवरिया है, हमको डर नहीं आता है, बच्चे के साथ डर होता है।
A well-defined swirling mass over the Arabian Sea. Biparjoy expected to make landfall between Mandvi in Gujarat and Karachi in southern Pakistan by Thursday evening. 7 people have died so far, 4 of them in Mumbai and 3 in Gujarat. The deaths attributed to accidents stemming from extreme weather conditions. The NDRF teams have panned across parts of Gujarat, Karnataka, Mumbai, Daman and Diu. Packing sustained wind speeds between 125 and 135 kilometers per hour, which may gust up to 150. The potential for significant damage from Biparjoy remains high. Bureau Report, India Today.
I have with me on the show live tonight our reporters who are on the ground in different parts of Gujarat, which is bracing for the storm. Also, the officials at the Met Department and the National Disaster Relief Force who are responsible for planning the landfall and ensuring that there isn't much damage. They're joining us on this broadcast. I want to go across to this satellite image which really shows where Cyclone Biparjoy is at this moment and what to expect from here. So this is essentially the area where the thrust of the cyclone is. It's coming towards the coast of Gujarat. And I want to show our viewers what to expect, because if you project this map into the future, it essentially shows that these wind speeds will by Friday cross through Gujarat into Rajasthan, and then as the weekend wears on, ultimately end up reaching as far as Uttar Pradesh. Obviously, the intensity of the winds will keep coming down, but the cyclone comes in, hits Gujarat, massive rainfall across the Arabian Peninsula, and then in to India's heartland, some of the winds going as far up as Nepal. Joining me on this broadcast is Dr. Mrityunjay Mohapatra, Director General of the Indian Met Department. With us also on this broadcast is Narendra Singh Bundela, Inspector General of the National Disaster Relief Force. Mahesh Palawat joins us, Vice President Meteorology, Climate Change at SkyMet Weather, and Amit Prothi, Director General at the Coalition for Centre for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, CDRI. I want to go across to Narendra Singh Bundela first, the officer at the National Disaster Relief Force. Can you tell us, sir, from an NDRF perspective, how many people have you evacuated from areas where they stay? What kind of preparations has the NDRF made to ensure that damage is minimized and as few people as possible are either injured or die when this cyclone makes landfall tomorrow?
So far, the state government has evacuated more than 67,000 people to around 1,521 shelters which are safe during the cyclone. NDRF has been deployed, 18 teams have been deployed in 9 districts across the affected area in Gujarat. And the state government has done a massive preparation so that evacuation is on time. The vulnerable groups, those who are prone for the cyclone and those who can be really affected by the cyclone are being moved out. And we are coordinating with the state government also to assist them. That is the pre-cyclone phase. And once cyclone landfalls in the coastal area, post-cyclone rehabilitation, restoration work will be extensively involved along with the state governments. So that is what we are doing right now.
You know, I was on the ground in Orissa when the last super cyclone Phylon hit the state, and I saw that infrastructure, particularly telecom infrastructure, was uprooted, and it took several hours to bring telecom infrastructure back on. So what are your preparations in the post-cyclone phase to ensure that life gets back to normal as quickly as possible?
So all the agencies related to infrastructure, they are already on alert. They have been deployed, and if there's any damage to infrastructure, these agencies will come into action once this cyclone is over and there is a safe period to restore the critical infrastructure. So state government, central government, all concerned stakeholders, they have been deployed, they are briefed, and all of us are ready for that.
Narendra Bundela, for joining us. Thank you. Our thoughts with you and your teams as you try and ensure that India stays safe during this cyclone. Thank you for joining us. Ashutosh Mishra joins us. He's at the Mandvi port. I want to get a sense of the preparations on the ground. Ashutosh, Gopi Manyar is joining us as well. She's our bureau chief in Gujarat. Ashutosh Mishra, to you first, give our viewers a sense of what's happening on the ground at this moment.
Well, Rahul, seems, the pre-impact of the cyclone before it hits the coastal line has already started. Since this morning, we are witnessing above normal high wind speed. And that perhaps could be the reason what I see here at this beach area, which is usually flooded with the tourists, be it on weekdays or the weekends. Everything has literally been uprooted. The high mast light was taken down by the authority, but all these areas commercially have been literally, have gone with the wind speed. And tomorrow early morning, when it will be almost double, it is going to be gusting up to 150 km/h. One can imagine the significant damage to the public property. However, the authorities have swung into action. Almost everyone in the low-lying areas, particularly who are the fishermen community, have been taken to the safer places. Adequate arrangements for food, medicines, all have been made. But everyone remember now the 1998, the tragedy unfolded in the Kutch and Bhuj area. That cyclone, so people are literally comparing in one with this. All I can see the very rough ocean ever since this morning, and this is not a high tide hours. But given what I see, the water gradually, instead of receding, it is gradually coming up. So tomorrow morning potentially could be, really high wind speed and a rough ocean. In fact, those local people who are working here, their biggest concern, the challenges is that when it is gonna significantly damage the infrastructure, including the telecom, electricity. So that will be restoring to normalcy and bringing back to normal. That's gonna be really major challenge. But since we have the SDRF, the NDRF, the local police, all the authorities in coordination with the center and the state are working to make sure once the cyclone passes, they bring everything to normalcy. But it will take time. And of course, all it depends upon, the wind speed and of course the intensity of the cyclone, Rahul.
Thanks, Ashutosh, for that live report. Mahesh Palawat, Vice President Meteorology at SkyMet. Mr. Palawat, can you give our viewers a sense of where this cyclone is at this moment? At what speed is it coming towards the coast of Gujarat? Is the cyclone intensifying? Is it getting weaker? Where is it likely to make landfall? Could there be a last-minute change in the direction and the landfall area could change?
See, Rahul, this cyclone is at present, it is packing a wind speed of say 80 to 90 knots, and it is around 250 kilometers away from Mandvi, and it is moving. Already it has recurved in northeasterly direction, and it will not going to make any track change now, because it will continue its movement towards Gujarat coast, North Gujarat coast, Northwest Gujarat coast, and adjoining parts of South Sindh. So the landfall will be around between 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. tomorrow, and at the time of landfall, the wind speed may be 130 to 140 km/h. In gust, it may reach some for short duration of 150 km/h. But it is now losing some of its strength, and it is going to make a landfall as a very severe cyclone.
How does this compare with other cyclones that have hit the Western Peninsula recently? Is it worse, as bad, slightly less intense?
Yes, if you see the Taute cyclone, it is, we can say the 20 to 30 km/h wind speed is less than that cyclone, and almost we can say 90 to 100%, 10% difference will be there. So it is slightly bigger than Taute, but yes, the potential of damage is very high because it will be entering with a speed of 140 to 150 km/h, associated with strong, very heavy showers over right from Mandvi to Okha, Dwarika, and Kutch, Nalia, and parts of Badin, Karachi, Jacobabad, and Hyderabad in South Sindh. And after making landfall, it will get weakened because moisture will cut off and intensity of rain will continue to heavy to very heavy, but wind speed will die down. And while reaching over southwest Rajasthan and adjoining parts of southeast Pakistan, wind speed may be 70 to 80 km/h, and rainfall will be heavy to very heavy over, say, Jaisalmer, Jodhpur, Barmer, Sirohi, Pali, Nagaur, all these areas. And thereafter, it will continue its journey towards northwest India.
So we'll keep coming back to you, Mahesh Palawat, for updates over the next several hours. I'm conscious of the constraints on your time, so I won't hold you back any longer. Thank you for joining us. I want to go across to Gopi Manyar. She's our bureau chief in Gujarat. She's been spending the last several hours looking at the preparations in the state. Now, seeing that report that you filed, Gopi, that people seem to be very worried. काफ़ी डरे हुए हैं लोग. उनको लग रहा है कि आपदा आने वाली है. पहले भी उन्होंने देखा है किस तरीके के साइक्लोन इस इलाके में आए हैं. आपने पूरी स्थिति का मुआयना किया. आपके हिसाब से कितनी तैयार है इस वक्त गुजरात की सरकार साइक्लोन बिपरजॉय के लिए?
बिल्कुल, देखिए राहुल, जिस तरीके से सिचुएशन यहाँ पे दिख रही है, क्योंकि साइक्लोन टकराने वाला है गुजरात तट से, ये अब फाइनल हो चुका है. और वैसे में गुजरात सरकार है, मुख्यमंत्री भूपेंद्र पटेल लगातार जो सीएम डैशबोर्ड बनाया हुआ है वहाँ से हर एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर के साथ कांटेक्ट में है. सुबह से लेकर शाम तक वो स्टेट इमरजेंसी सर्विसेज का जो हेडक्वार्टर बना हुआ है वहाँ पे तैनात है. लगातार सीसीटीवी फुटेज, वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग के जरिए ये सारा मुआयना किया जा रहा है. यहाँ तक कि जो 5 मंत्री है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के, क्योंकि अमित शाह भी इस सिचुएशन पे नज़र रखे हुए हैं, यहाँ तक कि जो राजनाथ सिंह है वो भी लगातार जो तीनों डिफेंस एजेंसीज है उनके साथ लगातार संपर्क में है. ज़रूरत पड़ने पर आर्मी, नेवी, एयरफोर्स की भी मदद ली जाएगी, क्योंकि साइक्लोन जो है वो वेरी सीवियर साइक्लोनिक स्टॉर्म के तौर पर यहाँ पे लैंडफॉल कर रहा है. 1998 में इससे पहले एक लैंडफॉल हुआ था जो कंडला साइक्लोन के तौर पर था, और कंडला साइक्लोन जब यहाँ पे आया तो 10,000 से ज़्यादा लोगों की मौत हुई थी. तो आज भी लोग उस बात को याद कर रहे हैं, 1998 को याद कर रहे हैं. जितने भी फिशरमैन से हम लोगों की बातचीत हो रही थी तो फिशरमैन भी यही कह रहे थे कि 1998 में कंडला में जिस तरीके से साइक्लोन आया था, हम नहीं चाहते हैं कि उतनी जान हानि यहाँ पे हो, और इसीलिए वो लगातार जो उनका घर है उसे छोड़कर यहाँ से जा रहे हैं. क्योंकि फिशरमैन ऐसी कम्युनिटी है, लगातार समुद्र के साथ उनका काम रहता है, तो वो यहाँ से निकलने के लिए तैयार नहीं थे. वो आज शाम को जब साइक्लोन विंड स्पीड बढ़ी, समुंदर की जिस तरीके से लहरें उठ रही थी, उसके बाद जो फिशरमैन है वो अपना घर छोड़ के दूसरी जगह पर गए. करीब 10,000 से ज़्यादा लोगों को यहाँ से शिफ्ट किया गया है. और मैं आपको बताऊं कि कच्छ के लिए जो कलेक्टर है उन्होंने एक लेटर इश्यू किया है. कल कच्छ में जीवन जरूरियात की जो बेसिक चीज़ें हैं, दूध, पानी और मेडिसिन, इसके अलावा सारी चीज़ें कच्छ के अंदर बंद रहेगी. यानी कच्छ पूरी तरीके से कल एक दिन के लिए बंद रखा गया है. स्कूल ऑलरेडी बंद हो चुके हैं आज से लेके 16 तारीख तक. और जब लैंडफॉल होगा तो सबसे ज़्यादा जो इम्पैक्ट होगा वो जखाव पोर्ट के पास होगा, और जखाव से लेके सरक्रिक का इलाका. तो सरक्रिक जहाँ पे इंटरनेशनल बॉर्डर आती है वहाँ पे बीएसएफ तैनात रहता है. ये पूरा दलदलीय इलाका है, तो वहाँ पे भी बीएसएफ को भी अलर्ट किया गया है, क्योंकि लैंडफॉल वहाँ पे होगा, उसका जो इम्पैक्ट है वो सबसे ज़्यादा वहाँ पे होगा. तो बीएसएफ को भी अलर्ट कर दिया गया है. साथ ही जो रिस्टोरेशन प्रक्रिया है वो सबसे ज़्यादा, सबसे तेज़ी से हो, उसके लिए भी प्रयास किया जा रहा है. मनसुख मांडविया को कच्छ की जिम्मेदारी सौंपी गई है, और कच्छ में मनसुख मांडविया ने आज कई अस्पतालों का दौरा किया है, क्योंकि कहीं इमरजेंसी सर्विसेज की अगर ज़रूरत होती है और मेडिसिन, जैसे कहीं कोई बड़ा हादसा हो जाता है तो मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज़ क्या क्या है उसको लेकर एक पूरी मीटिंग वहाँ पर उनके मनसुख मांडविया के ज़रिए की गई. साथ ही जब साइक्लोन यहाँ से गुजर जाएगा उसके बाद किस तरीके से जो लाइफ लाइफ है उसे नॉर्मल किस तरीके से किया जाए, उसको लेकर भी सारी चर्चाएं हुई है, सारी प्लानिंग की गई है और खास करके इलेक्ट्रिसिटी को रिस्टोर किस तरीके से किया जाए उसको लेकर भी एक पूरी प्लानिंग जो है वो की गई है.
Okay, Gopi Manyar, thank you for joining us. I want to go across to Dr. Mrityunjay Mohapatra. Gopi and her team will continue tracking every moment of the cyclone through the night today, all through the day tomorrow. Dr. Mohapatra is the director of the Indian Met Department, the man in charge of monitoring what's happening in the high seas at this moment and tracking the cyclone as it comes in. Dr. Mohapatra, as the Director General of the Met Department, can you give our viewers a sense of what they should expect around 3-4 p.m. tomorrow?
Thank you. Currently, in the afternoon of today, Cyclone Biparjoy is centered over Northeast Arabian Sea, about 260 kilometers southwest of Jakhau port of Saurashtra. It is a very severe cyclone storm. Currently, its wind speed is 140 to 150 kilometers per hour, gusting to 165 kilometers per hour. We are expecting that it will move northeastwards. It has already started moving northeastwards and will cross Saurashtra Kutch and adjoining Pakistan coast between Mandvi of Gujarat and Karachi of Pakistan and close to Jakhau port of Saurashtra, that is Kutch district. While it will be hitting the coast in the evening of tomorrow, 15th of June, it will have the wind speed of 125 to 135 kilometers per hour, gusting to 150 kilometers per hour. And this wind speed is categorized as a very severe cyclone storm. It can have the impact, you can say, in a large scale. Especially if I consider the impact of wind, the small huts, mud houses, asbestos houses, tin houses, old pucca houses can have the large scale damage. In addition to that, there can be uprooting of bushy trees, big trees like mangoes in those areas, and there could be breaking of tree branches, uprooting of electric poles and telephone poles, and bending of these telephone poles and electric poles, and hence large scale disruption of power transmission and telecommunication. It could also lead to damage in the standing crops. It could affect the offshore industries, onshore industries, and many other activities, including the oil explorations in the sea. The sea condition is also phenomenal now, and it will continue so till 15th of evening.
Okay.
So considering this is a dangerous situation over the sea area and also over the coastal districts, starting from Kutch, Morbi, Jamnagar, Porbandar, and Devbhumi Dwarka.
Dr. Mohapatra, I was reading this study, the classification of cyclone hazard prone districts of India. This is co-authored by you and Ajit Tyagi from IIT Bhubaneswar. And in this report published in Natural Hazards, the Springer Journal, you make the point that the number of cyclones coming towards the western part of India, especially towards the west coast of Gujarat, seems to be going up. That in the districts of Gujarat, the coastal districts of Gujarat, you are picking up a heightened vulnerability in recent times. Why do you think this particular area is getting more cyclone prone?
Yeah, the vulnerability of the coastal areas are increasing over the years because of many reasons. One of the reasons is that the socio-economic progress. The country is progressing and there is a lot of improvement in socio-economic sector in the coastal states. And Gujarat being a more developed state and developing also, therefore the more properties are at stake when any cyclone hits the coast. The number two is that if I compare different west coast states, Gujarat is the most prone state for the tropical cyclones. And especially the cyclones hit Gujarat in the month of May and June, and afterwards in the month of October and November. The third point is that due to the impact of the climate change, the number of extremely severe cyclone storms are increasing in recent decades since 1990. So therefore the vulnerability is increasing, and in the future also the vulnerability will increase with increase in exposure.
Dr. Mrityunjay, one of the concerns people will have as they track Cyclone Biparjoy is what impact might this cyclone have on the monsoon, which is supposed to be traveling through western India into central India, then up towards the north. Does this cyclone in any way have an impact on the flow of the monsoon?
Monsoon is a large-scale phenomena. It is a global phenomena, or you can say global circulation. And cyclone occurs over a limited area. Its size is about 1,000 kilometers. So therefore, the cyclone does not have any long-term impact on the monsoon circulation or monsoon rainfall. But certainly, in a regional scale, for a limited period, cyclone can impact the monsoon. For example, when cyclone developed as a depression on 6th of June over Southeast Arabian Sea near Lakshadweep area, it helped in strengthening the monsoon circulations and hence the advance of monsoon over southern peninsula, including Kerala, onset on 8th of June. And thereafter also it progressed to a certain extent in South India. But afterwards, as the cyclone intensified and moved towards the north, it got detached from the large-scale monsoon circulations. Now it is independent and it is not going to have any such large-scale impact adversely. But for next 3 days, there will be no advance of monsoon. From 18th to 21st, during this period, again, monsoon circulation will revive, and we are expecting advance of monsoon over South India and Eastern India. By that time, the cyclone will dissipate.
Important, very important to hear what you're saying. How does this cyclone compare to other cyclones that have hit the coast of Gujarat recently? Is it more strong, less strong, more intense, as intense?
Remember, we had an extremely severe cyclone storm, Cyclone Taute, which crossed coast nearby to Diu in the month of May 2021 with a wind speed of 180 kilometers per hour. And in this cyclone, we are predicting wind speed to be about 125 to 135, gusting to 150 kilometers per hour. So therefore, the wind speed in this cyclone will be less than the Cyclone Taute, which was highly devastating in nature. And therefore, the impact will be relatively less compared to that. But the good thing is that if you compare the cyclone management, say for example in 1998, there was a cyclone which was having the same intensity as that of Cyclone Taute. That is called as Kandla cyclone that hit Kandla coast on June 1998. At that time, about 4,000 people died. But in Cyclone Taute, if you just look at the number of deaths was less than 100. But however, that should not have happened also. We should not expect any death also. So therefore, the country has come up a long way in terms of early warning system by IMD, in terms of the accuracy of early warning system and lead period, in terms of our disaster preparedness, prevention and mitigation measures. There has been policy and planning also. There has been institutional mechanism established at central level, state level, district level. There is an end-to-end system established in the country. It has been a role model for many countries. Therefore, we have been able to minimize the loss of lives, not only in India, but also in other countries surrounding Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea region. So therefore, we should not be in panic. We should not be worried. We should believe the early warning. We should believe the suggestions and actions being taken by the central and state agencies. We should cooperate and be peaceful, calm and quiet, and manage the cyclone.
Very important insights there from the Director General of the Indian Met Department. We hope all his predictions do come true and that there is as less damage to life and limb and property as is possible. Thank you, sir. You have a rough night ahead of you and a tough day tomorrow. We wish you and your teams all the best. I want to go across now to Amit Proti, Director General at the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, head of the G20 Disaster Risk Management Panel. Amit, now this is an industrial state, or as industrial as any Indian state, and there's a lot of industrial infrastructure, and one of the concerns that people will have is the kind of impact that this cyclone could potentially have on industrial infrastructure in the area, and how to build infrastructure going forward to be able to minimize damage from cyclones such as Biparjoy.
First of all, Rahul, thank you for having me. I think my work is, the rest of the people who have been on the panel have been talking about the urgency of what's going on today. The work of the coalition is a little bit longer term. So your question about how do we minimize damage in the long term is important, very, very important. Dr. Mohapatra talked a little bit about how vulnerability has been increasing because our development pattern is also going, we need the coastal areas for a certain reason. We're developing a lot. And that will not stop. So we need to build infrastructure, we need to build industrial parks, we need to build ports, etc., etc., etc. So the role of the coalition really is how do we start to understand how risk is changing. And the risk is changing because of the development pattern, but also because climate change and other factors. So what we are trying to do is, first of all, understand how risk is changing. You can't now build based on historical patterns. Patterns have been changing. The globe is now 1.1 degrees warmer. That's causing certain changes in cyclonic wind speeds, gust speeds. So what we are trying to do as a coalition is trying to understand, we've got better science now, so how does this whole risk profile change? So from that understanding, we are also trying to see how does one then advise the codes that inform building of infrastructure, the training of engineers and others who are out building all of this infrastructure, the investors who are putting in money behind this infrastructure. So what we are trying to do is, with an understanding of risk, trying to then see how different sectors in the infrastructure space, how different actors can take some better decisions based on a better understanding of risk. So for example, if wind speeds on an average are increasing or gust speeds are increasing, we are building infrastructure that's going to last for 30, 40, 50 years. How do we take that into account in what we're going to be building in the future? How do we take that into account into what we already have and what we might need to retrofit? So that's the perspective that we bring. And as a coalition, we've got 31 member countries. We are also sharing examples. So, this what's happening today in Gujarat, we've seen examples, all of us remember Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Sandy, etc., etc. We've learned along the way. So the coalition is also about sharing across from one part of the world to others. Dr. Mohapatra talked about how India has also learned a number of things that we are sharing with others. Similarly, in the coalition, others are sharing with us to improve our standards, to understand risk better, to help make decisions with a better understanding of this.
Amit Proti, we wish you the best. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate your insights and thoughts. Thank you. We'll track Cyclone Biparjoy very closely. Our teams are on the ground, maximum deployment. We're trying to keep them safe and yet ensure that we bring you all the updates as this cyclone makes landfall. I want to shift attention now to the big political story we've been tracking since last evening. DMK's power minister's arrest triggers a massive political showdown in Tamil Nadu. The ED arrest was followed by high drama where Senthil Balaji was seen weeping as he complained of chest pain. He's currently in ICU at Chennai's Kaveri Hospital. His medical reports say he has blockage in 3 arteries. The DMK says Senthil's arrest was inhuman. The BJP calls this drama.
Sobbing, clutching his chest, writhing in the car. This is Minister Senthil Balaji, moments after he was officially arrested by the Enforcement Directorate. Dramatic scenes played out in Chennai at 2 a.m. this morning as Tamil Nadu's Power and Excise Minister V. Senthil Balaji, known to be Chief Minister Stalin's close aide, was arrested in an alleged money laundering case linked to the Cash for Job scam. What you see on your screens is Senthil Balaji being taken to a government hospital for his medical examination. When he broke down, claiming he was in immense pain and complained of chest pain.
BJP says that Enforcement Directorate only acted as per evidence and DMK and the Chief Minister M.K. Stalin claims that Senthil Balaji getting chest pain is all because of the pressure exerted by ED officials, and Stalin says that this is nothing but harassment and intimidation for which DMK will not budge.
Hours later, as the DMK ministers one after another visited Senthil Balaji, CM Stalin turned up at the hospital to extend support to his deputy. Stalin alleged that Senthil was pressured by the ED officers despite his cooperation, which triggered his chest pain. A showdown also peaked as the Dravida Munetra Karagam alleged that Senthil Balaji was physically assaulted by the ED officials.
Whether he has taken a tablet, whether he has taken a food, nothing has been known. So it is absolutely a mental torture. It is wantonly has been done, harassed by the ED officials. If anything is happening to his health or whatever it may be, it is a responsible, absolute responsible is the Modi government only.
The BJP responded by sharing this video, where the Mantri can be seen kicking at officials in the car. The BJP has mounted one attack after another at the Stalin government. Tamil Nadu BJP chief Annamalai shared an old clip of MK Stalin slamming Senthil for corruption before he joined the DMK in 2018.
இந்த மாவட்டத்தில் ஒருத்தர் இருந்தார் அமைச்சர் செந்தில் பாலாஜி. அந்த செந்தில் பாலாஜி அமைச்சரவை 15 முறை ஏற்கனவே மாத்தி அமைச்சாங்க. அப்பெல்லாம் அவரை மாத்தல, சீனியர் அமைச்சர்லாம் மாத்தினாங்க. ஆனா இந்த ஜூனியர் அமைச்சரை மாத்திரம் மாத்தல. போக்குவரத்து துறையினுடைய அமைச்சராக இருந்து அந்த துறையில நடத்துனர் பணிக்கு 3 லட்சம், மெக்கானிக் பணிக்கு 6 லட்சம் என்று கொடுத்து ஏமாந்திருக்கக்கூடியவர்கள் லட்சக்கணக்கானவர்.
The BJP will consider this a massive victory in their corruption campaign against DMK. After the PTR file storm, this is the second wicket down for Annamalai.
Now the kind of drama they did, that is uncalled for from yesterday. The chief minister himself going into the chamber, taking senior ministers along with him, thereby trying to create an impression that the whole government is with them. That sends a very wrong message. Oh, law is not same for everybody. If I join DMK, law is different.
Support poured in for the DMK from opposition parties as Kharge, Pawar and Mamata rallied behind Stalin.
अगर कोई गलती किया है तो उसको आप सुबह आके इंक्वायरी कर सकते थे. उनके खिलाफ कार्रवाई करके ईडी ने अगर रातों रात उसको लेके जाती तो ये घटना मैं इसको कंडेम करता हूँ.
We strongly condemn it, and if BJP feels, if they think that they will be able to get a few seats in Tamil Nadu in the Lok Sabha elections by using ED and CBI, I think they are living in a fool's paradise. They will not get even a single seat.
As the political showdown peaks, Minister Senthil Balaji for the moment will remain in hospital, away from the ED lens, as the Mantri's medical bulletin confirmed he had 3 blockages in his heart, advising him to get a bypass surgery done.
Even though the DMK terms the arrest of Senthil Balaji as politically motivated actions by the central agencies, the fact of the matter is the pressure is mounting on the DMK. For Senthil Balaji handles key portfolios in the government, and he is someone the party cannot do with as far as the 2024 Lok Sabha elections are concerned. With video journalist Daniel, this is Shilpa Nayar in Chennai for India Today.
Joining us on this big political showdown, Anil Antony from the Bharatiya Janata Party squaring off against him, Sarvanan Annadurai from the DMK. Sarvanan, I want to come to you first because I just played out that clip from MK Stalin himself. This is before the time Senthil Balaji was a star in your party, where he knows and is accusing Senthil Balaji of corruption. Because the kind of charges that were leveled against him when he was in the AIDMK were well known. Here's a man who's facing charges. Why make it seem as if this is some kind of persecution? The Enforcement Directorate says, we've got evidence of Benami property. You've seen some of the details the ED has put out. They, of course, have to prove this in a court of law. But they say they've found Benami properties worth about 25 crore rupees belonging to a family member of Senthil Balaji. And therefore, they think that there is the need to arrest, to take action against him. And this is something Stalin too was asking for.
Yeah. See, the alleged occurrence had taken place in the year 2015, and 8 long years the investigation is going on and all of the things are going on, and suddenly one fine day the ED decides, oh, it's good, now is the right time to arrest Mr. Sendil Balaji. If we arrest him, if we don't arrest him, he will flee the country like Nirav Modi, like Mehul Choksi, like Vijay Malaya. So they said, okay, fine, we will arrest him. But did they follow the procedure? That is the question we are asking. And the way he has been tortured, morning, he is a heart patient, he has got 3 blocks. In the morning till 3 o'clock, he was not allowed to sleep, he was not allowed to do anything a normal man is expected to do. What will go wrong? Will the heavens fall if Mr. Sendil Balaji is arrested the next day? Or if Mr. Sendil Balaji is issued a summon? Whose tunes are the ED playing? They have the temerity, they have the audacity to come and say in the court that they don't believe the medical report given by a panel of doctors. When they pressed, file an affidavit, we'll take you up for perjury. They go back, say, no, we are not filing an affidavit. This is this vindictive attitude, this selective persecution. This is what we are opposing. Let him be pronounced guilty or innocent by a competent court. Why they want to paint?
Anil Antony, respond to what the DMK is saying. Here's a man who's a minister. So this is not Dawood Ibrahim or Hafiz Saeed or Sayyid Salahuddin who are in hiding and need to be arrested in the dead of the night or brought down in the dead of the night. Here is a minister in an opposition government, a high-profile minister in the Stalin government. Why does the agency need to go in the dead of the night? Why couldn't this have been done in the morning and all of what you're saying would still have been true?
Thank you, Rahul. In the last few days and even the last few months, the entire second term of the DMK, we are witnessing a lot of bizarre and unprecedented scenarios in Tamil Nadu, where we are seeing a state government that is doing everything possible, using every government machinery possible, including the police department, including the health departments, including other branches of machinery, in a very hypocritical manner to ensure...
No, but you're not answering my question. This could have been done in the morning. Why did it have to be done in the dead of the night?
See, let me come to that. So, here is a person, a minister, who the DMK themselves, till he joined the DMK, it was the DMK leadership who was actually saying that this is a person who is very, very corrupt. The DMK had been very harsh. They have been trying to take many actions against this gentleman. And then it was the Supreme Court which a few months back directed the Enforcement Directorate and the local police to file charge sheet against this person. And right now the Enforcement Directorate is acting in the directions in the court, following every possible legal avenue, all the avenues which are available to them. And there is no BJP here. Like, this is an institution that is following the procedures. And then while the procedures are being followed, we are seeing the scenario where the DMK, the state government, is using the government machinery to prevent action from happening in the state. And a lot of drama is going on.
Saravanan Annadurai, what you have to answer is the comment made by Stalin as leader of the opposition, April 2016, where he's accusing Balaji of looting, corruption, abduction, land grabbing, and promised voters that he would jail them. So the ED can actually turn around and say, I'm doing exactly what Stalin said he would have done. He didn't do his job. He didn't do what he said he would.
Yes, that was in 2016. And now we are in 2023. See, can I also remind, has the BJP answered about Hemant Biswas? What did Mr. Amit Shah say? He said the most corrupt man in Assam is Hemant Biswas. But what is he doing now? And what about Suvendu Adhikari and so many other people against whom the Congress, the BJP said they will take action? Whenever they joined BJP, they have become saints. This is what the BJP is practicing.
No, so that's funny that you're saying it. So you're saying you're doing exactly the same thing.
No,
they're guilty of hypocrisy and so are you.
Let me come to that, Rahul. See, as the BJP got the moral authority to speak about this, what have you done? See, the question is this. This incident happened in 2015 and they have the courage to come into barge into the state secretariat and raid his official office. He became a minister in 2021. He thinks, will any sane man, will any normal investigating officer with little common sense think that Mr. Sendil Balaji is going to hold the documents of the crime which was committed in 2015 in his office in 2021? So why does the ED do that? They think they can intimidate us. The BJP, the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah is afraid of our leader because he is bringing a grand alliance. He is the only leader who is offering an ideological opposition to the BJP and the RSS. That is why they think Mr. Sendil Balaji is the weak link. Let us go to him. If this has been the ADMK, they would have fallen flat at the feet of Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah. But we are the DMK.
Anil Antony, this is political intimidation, the timing of the arrest, the nature of this action. This could have been done earlier. It's being done at a time where you've got leaders talking about how the next Prime Minister or a future Prime Minister could come from Tamil Nadu, how you're hoping to win 25 seats out of Tamil Nadu, that you're trying to use the investigative agencies. You found a weak link to try and destabilize or put pressure on the ruling DMK government. Respond to that, Anil Antony.
See, these are all misconceptions, like my panelist just brought out. First of all, he mentioned what moral ground does the BJP has. The BJP has every moral ground to ensure that corruption doesn't happen in this country.
No, but what about all the charges that were made by leaders who later joined the Bharatiya Janata Party, including the likes of Hemanta Biswa Sarma, including the likes of Suvendu Adhikari, including the likes of Conrad Sangma in the recently concluded elections, who was described as the most corrupt party, the most corrupt leader. The day voting got over, you wanted to ally with them. So why should I take any of what you're saying seriously?
See, let us not deviate from the topic and come to this.
No, but why not? It's part of the same rubric. It's part of the same theme. When they're in opposition, you call them corrupt, and when they join you, suddenly they've been washed with Ganga Jal.
See, these are all misconceptions and narrations that are created by the opposition to ensure that the
No, I'm not talking about opposition narratives. I'm talking about what BJP leaders said in the campaign against Conrad Sangma, calling his government the most corrupt government of India. The day voting got over, you went out and allied with him. If Senthil Balaji was in the in the AIADMK or the BJP, would the agencies be still as interested in him?
See, Mr. Conrad Sangma doesn't have any cases, nor does he have any allegations against him which is under investigation.
Your leaders called him corrupt.
However,
your leaders called him the most corrupt government in all of India. And then you went and allied with him.
There are no, like I mentioned, there are no investigations going on against Mr. Sangma. At the same time, in Tamil Nadu, this particular minister, it was Mr. Stalin himself who actually made it into a huge election issue in 2016. And there are many, and even in 2018, the first case which was filed against him at the special court was actually initiated by the DMK government, whose police department is under the DMK.
Okay.
It happened in 2018.
Rahul.
And then we have this bizarre scenario where, let's say, first of all, let us go a little back so that everybody, even the viewers, understand the backstory. Where in 2014, this Senthil Balaji, he was in the AIDMK. He was a part of the AIDMK.
Okay, I'm out of time. Since Samaran has his hand up, I'm going to give you 20 seconds to make a final comment. Go for it, quickly.
Yes, Rahul. If you look at the way the ED is going behind Mr. Sendil Balaji, they're going berserk. They don't have any rule. They don't follow any rule. He is advised to have surgical intervention for his 3 blockades of the heart. The ED says we want to have police custody. Don't they have any humanity? Are we not ruled by democratic principles? Is this how you torture?
Okay, the DMK and the BJP have both spoken. I speak for no one. You've heard from both. Is this procedure? Is this intimidation? I leave it to our viewers to decide. I'm slipping into a break right now. When we come back, Donald Trump pleads not guilty in the classified documents case. Accuses the Biden administration of vendetta. Details coming up on the other side of a quick break. Stay with us back.
where the software engineer meets the smart market analyst, meets the talented photographer to create the big dream. The world comes together at Sharda University. So where are you? Where the software engineer meets the smart market analyst, meets the gifted content writer to create the big dream. The world comes together at Sharda University. So where are you?
Kansha, how will the valuation cuts impact employee ESOPs? What have you learned?
Well, in very simple terms, ESOPs are basically equity in the company in which the employees are working. This is granted to them in the form of remuneration by the company. So what happens is, at the time when the ESOPs are granted, they're granted to employees at a rate which is called the strike rate, which is usually lower than the market rate at that point in time. And moreover, the ESOPs, the strike rate of the ESOPs depends on the valuation of the company at that point in time. So what's happening here is, in the normal due course of time, it's expected that once the ESOPs have vested, employees can go out and sell the ESOPs at their strike rate. And since the market rate is, of course, going to be higher than the strike rate, the difference between the market rate and the strike rate is the employee's profit. But now, in situations like this, where the valuation of the company has reduced, it's most likely that when these employees go out with the strike rate at which they had received when the valuation was high, and when they try to sell their ESOPs, the difference between the market rate and the strike rate is not going to be as much as they were expecting before at a higher valuation, which means their monetary benefit and profit is also going to reduce. So that's how the valuation of ESOPs has changed with the devaluation or the reduction in the valuation of these companies.
How do you think employees are likely to react to this, Akansha?
Well, there are two likely scenarios in which this is going to play out, at least in the short term. For starters, it's going to be extremely difficult to retain talent which is already working at these companies. It's because these employees had a set monetary figure in mind when, they had gotten these ESOPs. They thought that this is the amount of profit or monetary benefit that they're going to get out of the vested ESOPs. But that's not going to happen when they're going to cash it out, at least in the near term. The next issue that's going to happen, like you just said some time ago, is that ESOPs were a means to attract top talent. And if the ESOPs or the monetary benefit out of ESOPs is not as employees or outsiders or the top talent thinks it is, maybe they would not be more willing to work at these companies. So, yeah.
Former US President Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty in the classified documents case. He's the first US president to face federal charges for hoarding classified documents, including state nuclear secrets, in the shower and in the ballrooms of his private Mar-a-Lago residence. Trump claims he is innocent and has accused the Biden administration of targeting him. He's called his indictment evil and a heinous abuse of power.
I will appoint a real special prosecutor to go after the most corrupt president in the history of the United States of America, Joe Biden, and the entire Biden crime family. Name a special prosecutor. And all others involved with the destruction of our elections, our borders, and our country itself. They're destroying our country. And when I'm reelected, and we will get reelected, we have no choice. We're not going to have a country anymore. I will totally obliterate the deep state. We will obliterate the deep state. And we know who they are. I know exactly who they are. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's very simple. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. They want you silent. And I am the only one that can save this nation because you know they're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will never be moving. On November 5th, 2024, justice will be done. We will take back our country, and we will make America great again.
This is where I wrap up the Newstrack tonight. For your time and your trust, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you at 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Till then, from all of us here, goodbye, good night.
The popular imagery associated with tuberculosis is that of a person coughing incessantly. But tuberculosis unfortunately affects more than just the lungs. It is a disease caused by the bacteria Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Though it usually affects the lungs, it can also affect other parts of the body such as the kidney, the brain, liver or spine. However, not everyone who has the bacteria in the system develops TB. An infection that doesn't manifest as disease is called latent TB. Here are the common symptoms: persistent cough, blood in the sputum, unexplained weight loss, fever and unexplained chills. Here are different types of TB. Renal TB. The symptoms are pus or blood in the urine, burning sensation, increased urination frequency, flank or abdominal pain.